Hey everyone, my name's David, and today I wanted to talk to you guys about my experience with Vipassana meditation. Specifically, what I've learned since starting a few years ago, and some of the pitfalls that I've fallen into along the way, and share with you where I'm at currently. So, my experience with Vipassana started in 2016. A friend told me about these meditation courses, and if you're listening to this video, I'm sure you understand already by this point what they are. For the uninformed, they're simply these 10-day retreats. There's no speaking, no contact with others, no writing, no listening to music, things like this. And the idea is just to go deep into yourself and to learn the technique specifically of Vipassana. So, my first retreat in January of 2016 for me was life-changing at the time. I just had a lot of crazy experiences. Just a lot of interesting and revelatory experiences that got me very interested in the technique. I could see that there was benefit in it, and just really fell in love from the first course. The teacher, specifically Goenka, had a big impact on me and where I was at in my journey at the time. And I continued to go back to these retreats and keep a practice. Immediately after the first one, I served another course, and for the next 3 years after that, I attended something like 6 or 7 or 8 courses, I believe 7 total, including a Satipatthana course, which has certain minimum requirements for you to advance to that course. This is kind of the background that I have with Vipassana. And when I wasn't going to these retreats, I would keep up the practice pretty religiously. I would miss an hour here and there, but for the most part, I kept 2 hours a day practice for a couple years, I would say. And I'd have, bouts of questioning and moving away from the practice, but I always would come back in some form or fashion. So, at this point, let's fast forward to 2019, the beginning of 2019. I started opening up to different techniques, which is more or less against the recommendations of a student practicing Vipassana. That there's this idea that we should go deep into one technique and continue with that specific way to discover insights within yourself. At this point, I started opening up to new techniques, and there are a couple of, I guess, new paths that I resonate with. The first was I downloaded Sam Harris's Waking Up app and found that to be really useful. And in that practice, he talks about Dzogchen meditation, which I thought was interesting. It's I don't know a whole lot about it, I'm not going to lie. But from my understanding, it's a non-dual technique. It's non-dualistic, meaning the insights can arise in any given moment. There's not necessarily a practice or a process that needs to be a process of purification that needs to take place. In this path, there's a realization that one is already awake. And so this got me interested. This was a new perspective for me to consider, that maybe I was grinding and working and efforting my way towards a future moment, when really what I might be seeking is the present, this one moment that we're given in each and every moment. So this got me interested in new techniques and opening myself up. And another discipline that I got interested, well, not discipline, but another teacher that recently I've been diving into just a little bit, just on the surface, is a man named Krishnamurti. And enlightenment seems to come pretty easily for him. Or whatever you want to call it. Just this mode of being and accepting the present moment. It seems to come very easy for him. He doesn't have a process to get anywhere. He seems to, from my understanding, speak to the importance of just being and going into oneself and redefining what it means to meditate. Whereas I think at one time I had a very clear, specific, defined vision for what it means to meditate. At this point, that definition is beginning to broaden and open up. So that's kind of my story, or that is my story with Vipassana meditation and where meditation has been taking me recently, because I think it's been a very important tool for my growth. So I wanted to share that with you, my story. And I also wanted to share with you some of the pitfalls that I've been falling into along this journey. I think these will be very helpful for you as well. And maybe you've fallen into some of these pitfalls. So the first that I can think of is really just developing a noble self-image of myself. A strengthening of the ego, actually, that it's very counterintuitive, right? But that I was meditating to the point where I thought highly of myself, and I would look down on those who didn't meditate, or even look down on those who didn't meditate with a specific technique, the technique of Vipassana. And I would think that, these people who don't have this perspective in their psychology, and they don't have this direct experience with experimenting with body sensations, that they weren't as good as me in some ways. And oh man, and it's continued to be a huge hindrance for me. And I've been, letting go of this slowly as I broaden my perspective and open myself up to different ways of thinking and different ways of being. Let's see, another hindrance that I've come upon is, I guess, just, another one would be keeping track of how many meditation retreats I've been to, the number of hours that I've meditated. I would see people share the number of hours they've meditated with their app, and compare myself to them. So really a strengthening of the comparative mind. Thinking that, and seeing their number and seeing how many retreats they had been to or how many hours they had meditated, and really feeling good about myself that I had meditated more than this person, or that they had meditated less than me. So very much a power game with the ego there. So I'd fallen into that trap a few times, quite a bit. And again, for me, what's helped is not necessarily distancing myself entirely from Vipassana, but just opening up to more and more ways of working. Let me see, I've written down, if you don't mind bearing with me, I've written down some more pitfalls that I've fallen into. Another one being, here's a good one, proselytizing. So thinking that, I think it's human nature that whatever it is we love, we want to spread that to others. And so, for me, this meant getting other people to meditate. Whether it be friends or loved ones, telling other people about it, which is fine, which is all good. But there was this subtle underlying intention of getting them to do something, getting them to change, instead of accepting who they are in the present moment. And this would really be it put up a wall between me and other people for my ability to connect and meet them where they're at and meet myself where I'm at. So beware of the proselytization. So another one, so I have 3 more. I think these are all good. I think you'll like them. The next one is closed-mindedness, just in general, to other ways of living, other practices, thinking that Vipassana or my way was the only way toward enlightenment or toward progress, towards personal growth. And really that rigidness has softened in me a lot. And at this point, I don't know. I mean, I'll be honest. I think there's just so many different paths you can take to awaken. And that at the moment for me, meditation is creating space for awakening to happen and being ready for awakenings. But man, this isn't coming from direct experience, but I've heard stories, anecdotal evidence of, people waking up while smoking a cigarette and drinking coffee outside of a coffee shop. So, I think revelatory experiences, if you're open to them, can happen at any time. So stay open. Don't be closed-minded like me, like I've been in the past and continue to come up against. Another hindrance for me was dogmatism. So just being dogmatic, believing in anecdotal evidence in these stories. So there's a paradox here with what I'm saying, and I recognize that. But yeah, I just, the more that I'm meditating and the more that I'm, progress, or where I'm at currently, I see that, what am I trying to say here? That it's important to focus on my experience. And I don't know about you guys, but it just seems like there's so many different channels of information that we're being bombarded with. Teachers teaching us things that who knows? Who knows if they're right? And the reason I say this is because I see various teachers of meditation, and a lot of them teach similar things. And I'm also seeing that teachers will say things that disagree with one another, that they don't add up. So I think it's we have to be very careful on who we're putting our authority into. Where does our authority lie? And so for me, the ultimate authority is my direct experience. And that's not to say that, those of you who have done research with solipsism, which is, the only way to see the world is through our subjective experience, and there is no objective reality. I'm not saying that. There could be an objective reality. I'm just not putting as much authority into that as I am my own direct experience. So I think this is something to look out for, because I was believing in some of the stories that other people were telling me instead of testing out things for myself. So that's another one. And finally, one of the last hindrances for me was focusing on results instead of a process. So I would be seeking out these wild experiences, psychedelic experiences, through meditation. And I think while these are very important and come with the territory of this pursuit or of this journey, whatever you want to call it, I think what I'm settling into and what I'm discovering is that the process of being is much more important. And yeah, that's a tough one to even say. I feel emotional about that one, because I do want to experience these enlightenment type experiences, these awakenings, and at the same time just being totally complacent with where I'm at in this moment, and just accepting that and loving myself and really grounding myself more and more in the present moment. Because when I'm seeking future experiences, that's taking me away from the work that exists now. And really, we only have this present moment. And I could get into constructs about the future and the past and how they don't exist, but we'll save that for another time. So yeah, I think I'll end with just some of the important things that I have been learning and Vipassana has taught me. And most of that is the importance of going inward. The importance of observing our thoughts, our sensations, our bodily sensations, our feelings. Observing these things objectively, not reacting to them, not getting caught up in the highs or the lows of life or the unpleasant experiences and feeling averse to those and attaching to pleasant experiences, thoughts and emotions and feelings and sensations, but really just remaining equanimous and aware throughout every moment. So I think this has been the teaching of Vipassana that's really resonated with me. And who knows, this is where I'm at right now. And what I'm realizing is that when I look back at myself, even from a couple years ago, just how foolish and how silly I was. I've let you guys know about all these hindrances and roadblocks that I've been running into. And I know for sure that I'm in the midst of many more roadblocks that I'm not seeing, that I'm not perceptive to at the moment. So I'm staying vulnerable here, and I'm opening myself up to sharing where I'm at in my journey. And maybe this will inspire you to continue to look inward, to continue to practice, or just continue to live, just continue to be and find meaning and purpose in your present moment and the people around you, and in your environment. So that's my experience. I hope you guys found this helpful. I'm sure I've glanced over 1,000 other things that I wanted to say, but this video is already running pretty long. So I'll end it there. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know in the comments. I feel really good when other people resonate with, I guess, the content that I'm putting out into the world and find it useful, find it helpful. And that's where I feel the most connected to other people. At least on YouTube, is through comments. So, yeah, you guys, thank you very much. Again, all the nonsense, or all the important stuff, either way, however you want to look at it, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video, whenever that arises. So, stay tuned, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you. Cheers.